There you go. Let me start over. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Out of the matrix into prime reality, into a new setup. We're working on this. So this is going to look better in a little while. New studio setup. Thank you for joining us. Also to our wonderful moderators, Ronnie and Raymond, aka Two Steps Behind. It's great to see you all. Um, Microphone issues. So for those who can read lips, you probably got the double intro today. But I really wanted to. This is going to be, I think, a little bit of a briefer show. But I wanted to come on because of certain realizations. Walking with thoughts, having time to when you go through changes and move stuff and do things, then you have time to think. And I wanted to talk about the idea that most people hold in their head about how changes come about in life. And really, it's all a very big misconception, I believe. And we're all tempted and programmed to think that way. And the way that we do it is we basically think of ourselves as we are this perceiver, this um, receiver of reality, and we perceive it in a certain way. And then most people have some sort of wish, dream, goal that is a destination. So that's the second part of the equation, the destination. And then there is what most people consider to be an external trigger, change, or circumstance, or a portal, okay, through which that destination will be reached. We see this as three separate things: ourselves, our destination, where we're going, and the path or the portal there. And literally, I mean this very literally, people have been searching for literal portals into a different reality, into a different life, into a different experience forever, and probably have created some through sheer deep desire. I actually know there are portals which move this physical avatar from one experience of reality to another. And I'm not doubting that. There are portals that we can find in this matrix, in the simulation, jump through, walk through, fly through. And that has and is happening to people. But that's nowhere near the true most powerful portal which we have access to, which is ourselves. And I don't mean this symbolically. Once again, the idea, and listen, here's how this has worked for eons. The idea is for us to not understand ourselves, to not know how we function, to not know what our true capabilities are. That is the conspiracy, not one of them. That is everything else is built around that. So if we understand that, we must know that all the strategies that we're given always point, usually 99% of the strategies that the world gives you of how to achieve something or how to become better at something or how to level up are external things. Only the best teachers, only the best retreats or seminars or books are actually talking about purely internal shifts, which creates the external experience. But what so often is not said is that you can literally open a portal from within you and have incredible experiences, not 2, 3, 6, 8, 10 months from now, but right now. And this is something that people that meditate for a long time experience often. And the more that they do it, the more blurred the line becomes between what you would perceive to be awakened reality and this experience in meditation. But if we are not separate from this portal, and if we're not separate from the destination that we want to reach, then there's only one logical conclusion, that it's all three things are actually us. It's all inside of us. And so I say this to you, I'll tell you this. 6 years ago, we were homeless. Not homeless in terms of not having a spiritual home, not having the creator and all of creation as a home, but as in no roof over our heads. And all that happened in that time, sitting in a rusty old truck that was at that time almost like a time machine, almost like a portal. But all that was happening was internal, was vision creating, and mostly was creating future memories. I shared this with you not too long ago, the future memory technique, which to me is a portal into the future past. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's not at all. What you're really doing is you're projecting yourself into a perceived future. Let's say 6 months, 1 year, 2 years from now. The time doesn't matter. It should just be far enough out for this process to really work. So let's say you project yourself 6 months into the future, and what you're doing is you are now 6 months into the future in the present where that is. And imagine yourself sitting wherever you would be sitting 6 months from now, and you're in that present moment. And what you're doing is you are remembering how you're remembering what it felt like when your dream was achieved. You're remembering what it felt like when your deepest desire was achieved or when a problem was solved. Doesn't really matter. Whatever it is for you, it could be something simple, something big. And you remember what it felt like when it was done, when it was created, because you're already past that point. You're not visualizing a goal into the future. You are remembering the fulfillment of your goal or your desire from your future perspective. And when you do that vividly, you literally create a portal. Now, that's not symbolically speaking. You're then creating a portal. And if you walk through that portal in your mind 10, 15, 20, 30 times into the perceived future, remembering the past, the already past, you are anchoring yourself into that mindset, that physiology, that reality. And what you're doing, the more you do it, you then walk through life as that fulfillment already. Now, people always think this is some sort of magic or woo-woo and or law of attraction or any of those terms, but none of this really explains it properly. Understanding that it's all, or understanding rather, that it's all happening inside of you, and that what changes first and foremost is you, because now you are the person who still needs something to happen. You're the person who still needs something to come into your life. You're the person who still needs to get a phone call, a check, better health, whatever it is, doesn't really matter, a house. But when you practice this, walk through that portal that you are, then you are not that being anymore. Then you're the being that has already experienced all of it, and it's a memory. Okay. So this is dimension surfing, if you want to call it that. The name doesn't matter, but it's something extremely powerful for those who practice it. And also to realize that we are the creators, we are the portal, and we are the receivers or the perceivers of our reality. There's nothing else involved. And when I say we, I mean the infinite potential of divinity expressed through us, right? That's really what it is. So then what happens? You say, well, John, I still got to go to work. I still got to do, pay the bills. And so what? Go to work, pay the bills, do that in the moment where you're in as that person whose problem was already solved, whose dream was already fulfilled, and go to work like that. The other interesting thing that happens is, because we can't see it, it's so hard to comprehend, but we are interacting with a field that is giving us feedback constantly. And it is basically like a mirror field, if you will. It's a field of creation. The clearer we are, the clearer the image is that we're receiving back usually, but it also orchestrates this field, and you could even call it the source code of this simulation or matrix or construct. It orchestrates whatever needs to happen. So 5 people need to be involved in whatever it is that you want happen. Well, then 5 people will be involved. This orchestration begins to weave a web, right? And it begins to bring everything together. And then, you do have to get out of the way of, and allow that to happen. But the key point here is, and this is what I wanted to say, is people are chasing the next book, the next seminar, the next retreat, the next whatever. And there are wonderful people out there putting on the next seminar, putting on the next retreat, and writing the next book. But if they're really great, if they're excellent, if they have integrity, and if they've true love for humanity, then all that they will do in that book, in that seminar, in that retreat is lead you to your own portal, not pretend, not promise that there's something out there that makes it happen. That if you just travel to the right meridians, if you just travel to the right ley lines, if you pray in a certain destination, if you do 17 jumps and 13 loops, that then it will happen. But that's just not true. The really great ones, they know that wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, you always bring yourself. That's the only constant. You can't go anywhere without bringing yourself. So when you go places to do things, remember that you brought yourself. The only thing that can change is inwardly how we perceive the self, how we direct the self, how we orchestrate, coordinate, and co-create. That is what can change. The wonderful news is wherever you are, it's the best place for you to be to do that. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to do anything, pay anyone, buy a book, or anything for that matter. But if that is what you're called to do so that you get guidance or help, pick the right one, intuit into it. That's what we do. I really truly believe in when I have a sense that there are blind spots in my perception or certain things where I can't move through, I can't see it, I have a block or something like that. I wholeheartedly believe in seeking out the most excellent people at what they do and ask for help and then be open to receive it. That's how we learned a lot of these things, remembered them because someone was teaching them, was offering a teaching. But the best teachers, they will say profound stuff and then they'll pull up a mirror. And that's what they do. They'll say something profound, pull up the mirror, and then they go, here it is. Everything you ever wanted, you've been looking for, it's there, including the creator, including God, including the portal that you want to walk through. So this is it. This is a very short and sweet message that you don't need to go to Mount Shasta. You don't need to go to Egypt. You don't need to go. You can travel literally through dimensions from where you are. You can have out of body experiences. You can travel through dimensions. You can go into the field, experience other things. But not just that, you can shift your entire reality. So then the last question is, why would we ever do something in the outside? Why would we ever write books? Or why would we ever create movements? Or why would we want to change anything? Because, see, this is the gradual progression through which humans go until they realize things. Whenever a human being that has gone through the programming of this world sees a problem, that's the first, they first have to see that there's a problem. So when they see that there's a problem, they identify the problem. Their first programmed reaction is, let's do something about it. Let's change it. That's not bad. That's really good that people want to do that. So then you got to give that some room so people can push and pull, manipulate reality and talk other people into doing stuff, and realize slowly but surely that that isn't the most effective way to begin. That before action is taken, mindsets, even heart sets, perceptions need to change. So then there you go. Then you start talking to other people in terms of, how can I help you change your mind? Manipulation, if you will. And that's not bad either. That can be a very good thing. But then the next step is, hold on. If I really want to change this in the world, I first need to become the person that lives the change. I first need to be that. I can't do that without becoming that first. So how many people have you seen that put on peace rallies and peace protests, and are screaming violently and vehemently and aggressively into the ether. So tell me, where's the peace? Where's the peace inside of that person that is screaming and shouting and all but physically attacking around people around them? So first and foremost, they need to be that peace. They need to be that harmony. If that is achieved on a true and authentic level, then already all around them within a certain radius, peace is flowing from them. So that is a true demonstration of peace. That is what a demonstration of peace actually is. It's not screaming and shouting. And it's the same with everything else, but it is a progression. So to say, don't take any action, don't do anything, it isn't correct, because action is actually how we identify where we are in that journey. Plus, action is fun. When we can see the results of our actions, we inform ourselves about our level of consciousness and what we're truly thinking and believing. By the results of our actions, we learn. And then we also inform the field when we correct our path and we walk true north. We correct we correct in the field and say, "Hey, I used to be here. Now recalibrate it. Now I'm walking in the right direction." The field reflects that back to you. Now, there is no way, so let me say this clearly. This is not woohoo. This is every spiritual tradition that has a core of truth in it knows this and teaches this. Each and every one of them. And every good teacher, this too. There is no way that you can be on all your internal levels peaceful, harmonious, and loving, healed and loving, truly loving, not pretending, not talking, being loving, being truly loving, and experience ongoing chaos and violence and anything like that in your life. It is impossible. It is impossible. Now there can be overlaps, it can take a while, but when you truly are that, you can no longer experience that in your physical reality. If you do and continue to, then there is a hidden, a blind spot, something that is deep inside of you that still resonates with that. That is how all of this works. And so our job daily, first and foremost, is to bring ourselves into this space of coherence. That is what opens this infinite portal for us. And the next 4 to 5 years are going to be, both internally and hence externally, they're going to bring about more change than the last 500 years, probably. I mean, this sounds insane, but I really do believe that. Like, the next 5 years will bring about more change than the last 500 years. Things are going to be so drastically different. And people that are up leveling and up leveling and up leveling and up leveling, again, an inside job, are going to have such a different experience of reality that it's going to be mind blowing from where their life began and where it turns out to be. This is what will happen exponentially, I predict, right? At the same time, the world, the mainstream thing that is influenced by us, but still not enough, is also exponentially changing, and it's going to be wild to observe that as well. Um, it's going to be interesting to say the least. And our jobs will be, like Ram Dass said, to walk each other home, remind each other of the essence of the core truths, to not get caught up too much in the details of the physical world here. Yes, observe that. I'm all for it. I'm all for it to know things and to seek out good information. That's been my journey. But realizing this is a reflection of what has been, not necessarily a reflection of what is to come. That's where the future memory techniques come in. That's where the meditations and breath work comes in. That's where the inner journey work comes in, which that shifts the most. It's unbelievable how you can repeat this 1,000 times and in some way, shape, or form, it starts sinking in after the thousandth time of saying something. It starts really sinking in, and you start doing it. Start showing up for that morning meditation or that prayer or that future memory technique, and you just start doing it and watching how your future past is changing right in front of your eyes. That's incredible. Incredible. I also want to invite those of you who feel called that they need some help, need guidance, would like to be guided through those breathworks, meditations, and certain practices and exercises that really help people shift. If you feel inspired to attend the recorded version of the After Awakening Retreat at afterawakeningretreat.com, it's on demand. You can use it whenever you want to. But those who are really sticking with it and who are continually doing those practices, the emails that we're receiving are actually beautiful and amazing and incredible shifts. But here's the last piece of information for today that I think is incredibly important. Shifts in our thinking, believing, and our physiology don't happen in 7 days, 14 days. They don't happen in 30 days until every fiber of our being is infused with that change. 90 days usually have to pass. Now, that is a form of limitation, and some people have such deep and instantaneous experiences that the change happens immediately. I'm not excluding that. I'm not putting an impossible stamp on it. I'm just saying lasting changes usually happen on the 90-day plus timeline. The reason being that our body's always a step behind. It needs to catch up with the changes in your thinking. The biochemistry in your body follows your thoughts after a while and follows your actions. So after a week, your thoughts, your belief, your actions are already here, but your body is still used to the old stuff and still craving it, still craving whatever old habits, thoughts, and beliefs you had, because it got used to those sparks of hormones and chemicals that the body produces. So this is the journey. So stick with something, whatever that is, a practice, a tool, a meditation, breathwork, prayer, future memory technique, journaling. Stick with something for at least 90 days. Watch what happens. That's really the power line. And in today's instant gratification world, nobody wants to hear that, but this is just the truth. So things can shift within those 90 days, and usually they do, and reality reflects that back to you, and you have these fireworks that happen. But if you want it to be lasting, a true interchange, give yourself 90 days at least, and then just keep going. All right, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to, building all this up here, and I think it's going to look beautiful when it's all done. And we look forward to everything that's to unfold. So we love you, we appreciate you, and we'll be back with you again very, very soon. Your environment shapes everything, your thoughts, your health, your energy, but most people never question the invisible field they live in. We did, and that's when FLFE found us. It's not a product, it's a field of pure life force energy that lifts everything it touches. We now live in it 24/7, and we would love to invite you to experience it too. Start your free 15-day trial now. No pressure, no strings attached. Just the truth, resonance, and peace.